Another day, another dollar. Either way. Good morning and hello to the people out there. Today I decided to pay attention to focus and most important, deliver my speech on the topic of anger management, because the backbone of this vlogging, episoding is documenting my journey, healing with art, regards mental health, and how it helped me to speak up to myself, to my family, to identify what was wrong with me, what was holding me back, and therefore it gave me an inspiration to create this material for my family, for all the people out there who are angry, you know. So what a happy days, right? Why am I saying this? Because at first I recorded few videos, and it was quite challenging, because I didn't know what I'm what I'm getting myself into, and I'm not saying that I still do, but I have a faith in it, and clear mind for sure. And when this tipping point, switch in me went off, and I was talking to my wife, and I told her that we had a chat about, as usual, right? Husband and wife have a chat, that's normal. And she told me that I'm angry. And I was like, hey, I ain't no angry, you know, this and that, like kind of start flipping. And she said right off the back, she said, just look at yourself, see how you're answering, what is your response? And I was like, you know, this is the person I love and I cherish and I respect, but it was kind of like unusual to hear it from somebody saying that. And I understand that it was the turning point, and still is really has a strong source of recovery for me, because she said pretty much, okay, I can't help you, nobody can help you but you, because it's something in your head and we can get into your head. And after that I was like, all right, if my loved one is saying that, I have to admit that something is not right, and being a mature adult, take the steps towards to actually be that mature adult, right? Face it like a man and admit to myself, yeah, I flipped, yes, I got angry. And I was like, all right, let's work this out. And there I was, back to the drawing board in my own head, and going over the things. And thankfully, I had a help from a specialist, right? Because in my work, there's a lot of professionals, and there's also a professional help. And I'm very thankful for that, because it sure opened up a new door for me to all the tools I need. But I'm the master of those tools, because I admitted that something's wrong. And she mentioned anger, and I was like, what makes me angry? Let's pay attention here. Let's try to focus. And I was like, first was like these little things, for example, on daily basis, because I would feel so tired at the end of the day. I would have to just keep my, it was a composure, right? I would have to try to not get angry, and by the time I got to like home after work, I would be so exhausted and trying to keep the straight face. I would would want to have a drink or some sort of a getaway or indulge in one or another thing to kind of like fade it away, right? But fair enough, that was just a temporary. And by my mid-30s, I was exhausted. I was like, oh, I'm so tired. Sometimes I would wake up tired after having a good sleep, right? And I couldn't understand what the heck is going on. And turned out the discovery, how do you say it, that thing came to me, right? I would say total awakeness in sort of kind of in one or another way. It was when I went to see my specialist, and it's there's nothing like, how do I say, secret about it. Like, people do that, and when it happened to me, usually it's like doesn't matter. I'm not gonna go in detail, but what I'm saying is I never paid for that, right? It's been covered, but so. I don't even know what I say that, because it's there's no nice putting that thing out there that I messed up, like I wanted to use an F word, and that admitting, right? So for me was admitting that something's off, something's holding me back, something's not right. And when I went in to see specialist, I thought I'm quickly gonna go run in, say everything's okay, and leave, because that's one of the options how to deal with it. And then when I said that, the specialist said, why don't you sit down and tell me more about it? And of course, that was a door, right? Back in the day, I would say it was a trap, but it was a door to a channel to help me express myself. What's wrong with me? And I sat down and I started elaborating, opening up about kind of like everything's okay, and then what is okay? Tell me more about it. And then I was like, yeah, I'm kind of like, because I started to pretend who I want to be, and I was trying to pretend that I'm not angry, that I have no issues, and I would say that, yeah, I was delusional. And then they were like, okay, what were you delusional about? And I was like, uh-oh, I have to like be honest to myself and speak it out loud and face it. And I was delusional about not being angry, when just yesterday I was, right? And that particular day. And I was like, all right, give it all out, say it. And I was like, start talking, and then I would start thinking for a moment, what actually makes me angry? Not that I'm playing a game with somebody, for example, a pool game, right? And I get angry because they're better than me. But being kind of like respectful, I'm always trying to be, it still made me angry, right? And that goes back to my basketball glory, because yes, it takes a lot of work to be good, and I respect that, and I know that to be good in something, you have to dedicate a lot of time and hard work to be as good as you want to be. But there's always a limit to it, because if there's no chemistry and no mental health, all that physique, all that power, gonna be pretty much, it's gonna kill you, right? Metaphorically. And that's what happened to me. So I went back in time when I was the most angriest, and it was at age 17, when I didn't got the results what I was expecting. That's the word. I was expecting those results because I thought I was better. And it happened on quite a high level in performing basketball, and it just burned me. It burned a hole in me, and all my trust went into that hole. I stopped trusting into pretty much into my coaches, right? And that was something that I didn't want to admit for a long time, right? I wanted to keep a straight face. And fairly enough, once I did that, I started crying, not like snubbing. I was sitting there at the 101 and it was just quiet because the person knew I'm actually opened up, told what happened, right? And I was like eyeballing, like rolling slowly like this, saying nothing, making no sound. And for a split second I felt embarrassed and I apologized, but then they said it's alright, you know. I had to face it like a man, that I am not who I want to be, that I'm still caught up in that moment. And that's where managing anger comes into. Stop being, talking about myself, stop being angry for what happened, blaming on others, and actually try to sort it out. And right away I felt so light. I felt like waking up after a coma. I felt like the major weight is off my shoulders. And I felt like I'm free. I literally felt like, yo, it's past, it's done. What's done, it's done. In sense of it, like, time to move on and focus on present time and people who are around me, and even like more of a focus on me. Start loving myself again. Respect myself for who I can be, who I want to be, on those few little good things that I can bring to this life. And I was thinking, okay, let's start just with one thing. And the one thing was like, stop being angry so it reflects on my family, and at least they don't experience that environment, being around angry person, which was me. And I was like, all right, totally shake that off. Like I said, it felt like waking up after the coma. I was quite focused. Again, I didn't know what I'm gonna do. And you know what? It just felt good. It just felt good. And sorry, guys. And let's see. I have a garbage truck in front of me. The boys working, doing the supplying. Can't see what's going on there. And yeah, and I was thinking right off the back, like, oh, I need to go talk to that person I was angry, but that was like ages ago. And then I was thinking, you know what, give it a sleep, because one of my philosophies is, if there's an answer to be given in sense of it, like response, right, not immediately, and I can wait on it instead of think of it, as they say, sleep on it. I went to bed, felt good, everything, and woke up in the morning and I looked at that situation, what happened when I revealed my anger, and I went back to the angriest moment in my life. I understood that it happened because I had an expectation, right, for the person that's not even my family, but is not my friend, you know. It happened to be a mentor, yes, I take that and big time respect, but I was seeing even beyond, and I was thinking, what made me at that most angriest time in my life think, or the correct word would be, have an expectation for that person to give me something I worked so hard for, right? Because they had no obligation, right? I don't know what the triggers were there, and that's none of my business. And another, my motto was like, if you're so good, just be so good so there is no room for errors. Just get it, you know, just be the beast, the best at it. Like, put everything into like reaching your goal. And yes, I did. Maybe I didn't do as well, of course, because the result wasn't there. But after all, that wasn't the only door, right? I was looking so narrow. I was looking only at that particular situation, and I wanted so bad, and it didn't happen. And I closed up my kind of like development in sense of it. Okay, there's more than one door, right? But I was like so upset about it, and then I came so angry about it that I would be like, how do you say, narrow-minded, right? I was selfish, and from there on the game was on. I was still had those trades in me, those skills that were really good, but because of my mind wasn't quite there, it never worked to the best extent of it. And so back to that, when I woke up next day, I was thinking, but what made me not angry anymore? But what was that factor in my mind that made me to expect this certain result? And when it didn't work out, because it's a fact, it's not always works out no matter how hard we try, and it happened to me. And I was stumbled upon even farther back in the past. I went back when I was 7 years old, right? Luckily enough, 2 parents, loving relationship. And sometimes maybe there was no, like, you can't be loving ongoing, right? So sometimes there was certain punishments for like not doing things the way the kids should be doing, in sense of it. There was, let's put it this way, nothing bad happened, but I wasn't liking it the way parents maybe were telling me to do things, right? And from there on, I would always listen, but I would always be suspicious, just because I didn't fully buy into the parenting. I was still learning, like remembering, but I was upset, because how do your parents love you so much, and then they're teaching you kind of because they needed it their own way. They know better, right? They knew better. And it took me years to admit that, to reunite with my family, tell them I love them, tell them that I was wrong in not seeing that clearly. And yeah, it was quite crazy to actually, like crazy in sense of it, me just admitting it for so many years later that I was wrong. Because I always wanted to think that I'm the smartest, I am Mr. Know-It-All, and that I'm special. And that was my mistake, because world doesn't work that way. And when it was giving me like a lesson, instead of learning it and focusing what can be changed or what can be improved or developed for the next battle, for the next game, for the next situation like this, to come out like a winner, like a champion, I instead started blaming on other things. And my parents always told me it's never gonna be your way. And I was like, yeah, right, And then I was like, yeah, I was kind of already like that. And that was it. Once I admitted that, the life got easier. Yes, it happened like so many years after many interactions with sometimes being get myself into trouble. One of like pretty much went down to fighting, right? People who were doing their job, I would want to just like freaking go, I never did it, but I wanted to do bad things, in sense of it physical. Because I'm a big guy and I wanted to just like, capitalize on that. Like pretty much like, not think clear. Surely not think, but act before thinking. And that was my downfall, And I'm glad it took And again, why did I probably would go and do bad things, but what held me back? Because of love with my parents. And I'm thanking you guys. I'm taking, like, addressing my parents. I'm thanking you so much because the love they gave me and still giving it to me, I'm blessed and fortunate, is much bigger than everything else. And it's unconditional love. Yes, there were times that I get disappointed and angry, but after all, when I'm clearly looking at my past, I was like, it always was unconditional, no matter what. And they always taught me that. And that's what helped me in the most darkest, hardest moments, when I was backpacking, traveling, when I ended up in some real dark holes, as you can name it, as you can call it. It's like, what's the Glory Road or something? Whereas Charlie Sheen is riding, that undercover cop riding a bicycle for Hell's Angels. And matter of fact, I was pretty much nearly recruited by Hell's Angels. For those who know, don't know, it's motorbike, pretty much organized crime, bikers. Luckily enough, I never crossed that line, and I never got fully involved, and I just kind of like, it wasn't even me like saying no. I actually got in a bicycle crash. Pathetic as it sounds, right? I was supposed to go meet and start doing kind of to be introduced to the initiations and all. I don't know what they do, right? But you have to read a book. It's called they asked me to read a book, Four Agreements, by I think Miguel Ruz, right? Something, be impeccable with your word, do your best. I don't remember what a second, two more agreements were, but I right away kind of felt like, oh, that feels like a book to control in one or another sense. And when it was presented that way, I don't know, that was my suspicion, right? And I was like, no, I'm not like spending any more time reading this book, and I'm not getting involved with these people. And I was thinking, though they're good people, right? Because besides crime. But I'm sorry, guys, but like what I'm saying is, like, you see where it gets you, the anger? Because for a moment I started believing that yeah, I'm like, I'm a big guy, I can do collections, I can do this and that. But I was like, what, it doesn't sound right, something was off after all. And again, it's like it's another chapter, it's another story, right? And but anger management, that's something really helpful in my experience, because if you're angry, that's a first sign that it's time to take care of that anger. I don't know what is your circumstances, but from my personal experience, I would have to put on the masks pretty much, so I don't want to say these strong words, but to pretty much, like, I didn't want to hurt anyone, I knew that. But there were moments when I just felt like, I just felt like so badass and like this and that. And going back, I remember I started reflecting into my basketball game as well, because overall I was pretty decent, right? And when I kept my composure and focus, the results were good. But sometimes when my cardio was out, when I wasn't strong enough on my physical, my mind wasn't clear, because unconsciously I was still dealing with that trauma and being angry. So my mental health pretty much was slowly start getting into the bits. And I would like start, how do you say it? Instead of playing basketball, I would start getting a little bit of dirty basketball, right? And that wasn't good. That's not what my coaches taught me. But my anger was much bigger than that. So I was already like possessed by fouling people, right? And it was horrible. It took my game away, it took away from me as a basketball player. And it's, again, was part of me learning that through basketball, that you can clearly see in your statistics, in the style of your game, in a role what you're being given by a coach, and you sure can feel it, right? And if you're that, what the heck? It sure was devastating for me because I put my basketball career on the line. I gave in for that anger, and I just achieved a certain level in a basketball world as a player, as an athlete, because Almighty, or pretty much the code of life, I didn't deserve go any farther. It wasn't for me, and there it is. Morning, Shah. How are you doing?
Good, yeah.
Good.
Good.
I'm recording for my mental health channel.
It's okay. You got a sticker, no?
No,
Yeah,
but
that's okay.
yeah.
Thank
Thanks, guys. See you later.
you. Always be recording, remember.
Oh,
For the car, not for every.
thanks.
Yeah.
There you go. You see, sometimes when you're kind, when you're pure and genuine, it works out. Of course, you need to apply strength in a proper way. Like, you have to know, like, for example, dealing with bullies, right? Not dealing with the normal people, like the kind people, because in a certain way I was a bully basketball, I think, basketball bully in one or another way at some points, and I look back and it's disgusting, right? It's not right, and that's what actually held me back from becoming a good coach at the times, because I was coaching, and when I was coaching adults, I was in my head treating them like adults, and sometimes I would scream at my players. Actually, it's something that coaches do, but I always looked at it that I don't want to be that coach. And then at one point I became that coach, and I was like, nah, this is not good. Fair enough. It was another wake-up call that something's off. And I had to step down and take a break and really look at it. How do you say it? Look at the whole thing. Do analysis, do how do you say it, refocus, do like the whole thing, just try to understand what is wrong, and like these guys are parked here where I'm supposed to be parked. That's not good. Okay, I'm gonna park. And you see, back in the day I would get angry because someone's parked where I'm usually parking, because I'm not entitled, I don't have to be parked in there. Actually, let's even park that way so I can see them. Woo! So what I'm saying is, you can't be expecting and thinking you're entitled, I'm speaking of myself, about the things that you're not. And once you're gonna sort that out, it's gonna be easier to progress and even like get the better results and enjoyment of life. And I wish for all the angry people that you start waking up, because for me, that was a wake-up call, admitting that, okay, this seems like an anger, and I'm the angry person, and no one has nothing to do with it but me, and blaming others is sure thing not helping, making things worse. And sometimes people, usually, they don't care, because they have their lives, they have things figured, and because they walk across the angry person, they cut you out of their life, and by end of the day, you're the one who's sitting there and like remembering all these thoughts and like how to say, these situations, and you're still like buzzing, or you just want to like do something in sense of it, like you do not find peace. And I would go do exercising, and instead of exercising and getting stronger, I was building a pressure which needed to be released. And if I didn't find a proper way of releasing it, because basketball didn't bring joy anymore, in sense of it, like it was like there was still good games, but sometimes like it was different, it wasn't anymore like we're gonna go back into the coaching, basketball coaching, right? But not in this episode. And why am I saying this? Because identifying what makes you angry, and not in a present moment, because it's already these interactions that just triggering the anger from the past. That was for me. And I really tried to think, okay, what was the most angriest moment I ever had? And I went back in time, looked at it from a third point of view, being totally sober, and then I would go and admit that I thought in my head that something needs to happen my way. And when it didn't happen my way, I was upset, like a little kid. And once I genuinely admitted that, actually I could have think even more clear vision of what's going on. And then I was like, okay, hold on a second. I got angry because I had these expectations. What made me think that I am entitled of certain outcome or result? And I thought about it, and I went back, and it went back to, like I said, when I was a little kid, and it didn't go my way. And that's where I planted this idea in my head that it needs to be my way. It still can be my way, but in respect to others, in a mature way of expressing and accepting the reality environment I'm in it. And with that being said, when the first I experienced that anger from somebody else really close to me, I started thinking about them. What made them angry? And then turned out that the anger can be generational. But once I am not angry anymore, I am not like blaming and finding the ways out of why it's not my fault. I was able to travel in time back in past into my grandparents, and if needed even farther back, to see what struggles they went through and why somebody who was attached to them got later exposed to that negativity, this outcome of soreness, outcome of negative energy that was passed on to the next family member, to the next person. And how did it snowball, and how did it went on and on. And I was the one to end it, and I'm so happy for it, and I wish for you the same. Best of luck. And I'm gonna keep on doing what I'm doing now, revealing the importance of mental health. And I hope, I pray I never make a same mistake, because there's nothing wrong than not learning from the mistakes. And yes, it's like I wasn't perfect, but there is nothing wrong in trying to make the effort to be your best. And I wish to you the same. I wish you an energy, support you need, a guidance of Almighty, which is power of universe, to help you navigate how do you say, revoke all the negativity and turn it into the positivity. So hopefully it is a beginning for something good for you today, because it is for me. Alrighty, guys. Have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye bye. Peace.